Hello everyone, this is Annabella here. Today's reading is a purchase relationship reading for Lisa and Mingu. I noticed that a lot of people had also requested this reading in the comments, but a friend here went ahead and made it happen before I even had a chance to consider it. So please remember to send her lots of thanks in the comment section for her generosity. And without further ado, let's get started. But as always, please remember this is a celebrity reading, so take everything with a grain of salt since we don't personally know these celebrities. Alright, let's dive into Lisa and Mingu's first mutual energy card, the Page of Pentacles. Since this isn't the first time I've done a reading for Mingu and Lisa, I feel like these cards are more about their updated energy. So, with the Page of Pentacles, I actually do think this card is representing one of them, and I'm leaning towards it representing Mingyu, especially considering how he recently went to support Lisa during the BlackPink comeback performance. To me, it kind of feels like this page is holding up the pentacles as if he's offering something to someone. In that sense, it's like Mingyu is offering his pentacle to Lisa, and that pentacle could be symbolic of his time, energy, support, or even his presence. Next, we have the Tower. This card represents destruction and sudden change. Now, this is where not knowing the personal lives of celebrities can make it hard to pinpoint exactly what happened. But usually, when I see the Tower, I see it as a major shift. I'm not sure if something happened between the two of them, whether or not the shift is related to BlackPink coming back, but getting the Tower in a relationship reading where there are feelings from one side often signals that one person does not harbor any romantic feelings for the other just because of how intense and destructive the energy is. Please check out the previous reading I did for them last year if you're wondering where I'm referencing the one-sided feelings from. It was very clear that Mingu had feelings for Lisa in that spread, but with this card now, I feel like it's clear that there's no chance. But then with the Four of Wands, I wouldn't say their friendship has ended in any way because this card still represents a balanced relationship. Sometimes I see the Four of Wands as a symbol of community coming together to celebrate or enjoy something, and I feel like the Blackpink concert kind of fits that vibe. From what I've heard, there were a lot of other celebrities who showed up to support them. So that sense of community and union really reflects what this card is about. And I feel like Mingu is part of that community. He came to support Lisa and the rest of the girls. And that shared experience or presence is very much in line with the energy of the Four of Wands. Next, we have another four, the Four of Pentacles. I actually find that kind of funny because when we get multiple fours in a reading, it usually points to someone not wanting their situation, especially a friendship or relationship dynamic, to change. But at the same time, that kind of contradicts the Tower, which is all about change and sudden shift. So maybe what the Tower was trying to say earlier is that even though there's been some kind of emotional shift, they don't want the dynamic between them to actually change. The Four of Pentacles itself gives off that conservative, possessive energy. You can literally see the figure in the car hugging and holding onto his pentacles like he doesn't want to let them go. So, to me, this suggests that they're still maintaining a friendship, probably more within a professional or entertainment industry context. Lastly, for their mutual spread, we have the Queen of Wands, an ambitious, passionate woman who's constantly striving to grow. She's driven, confident, and full of desire and energy. What's interesting is that we ended up with exactly two court cards in this spread, the Page of Pentacles at the start and now the Queen of Wands at the end. That really ties back to the initial feeling I had when I first saw the Page of Pentacles, how it felt like the page was trying to bring his pentacles to someone important. And in this case, that person is the Queen of Wands. And because she shows up as the Queen of Wands, it kind of mirrors what happened at the concert, right? Lisa was the center of attention, dancing and singing on stage, fully immersed in what she's passionate about. And then you have the Page of Pentacles, Mingyu, watching her from below, showing up to support, possibly offering his time, presence, or feelings from a quiet distance. So, with that say, let's move into their individual energies and see how each of them feels towards the other. We'll start with Mingyu and check in on what his current energy or feelings are when it comes to Lisa or this relationship. Let's see what kind of cards come up for him. The first card that represents Mingyu's feelings towards Lisa is the Five of Wands, which is really interesting because this card usually represents conflict or competition, and in this context, since we're looking at a relationship connection between a man and a woman, I feel like the competition here is probably referring to Lisa's significant person, because honestly, there's no reason for Mingyu to feel competitive towards Lisa herself, right? This is why I don't think this card is about professional rivalry or tension between them directly. Instead, I think this Five of Wands is showing the inner conflict Mingu feels when it comes to Lisa. Maybe because of her relationship status, there's this feeling of being emotionally stirred up, maybe even competing thoughts in his heart about how he feels. Then we have another Wands card, the Page of Wands. And I don't know, I just feel like Mingu always get page court cards whenever it comes to his energy towards Lisa. It really makes me wonder if on some level he feels small next to her, even though ironically he's a 6 foot tall man. But this Page of Wands does make me believe that he genuinely enjoys his time with her. There's this sense of fun, lightness, and playful energy whenever she's around. He probably finds her really inspiring or exciting to be with. But because it's always a page, a youthful, early stage kind of energy, I think he knows deep down that there's never going to be any real change between the two of them. It just stay in that same space. Next, we have the Ten of Cups. Do you remember how in the reading I did for them last year, Mingyu got the Ace of Cups, and now he's getting the Ten of Cups? It's kind of crazy, right? Mingyu always seems to pull a lot of cups cards when it comes to Lisa, and not just any cups, but really clear and emotionally expressive ones. It shows that his feelings, whether romantic or just deeply affectionated, are very genuine. I feel like regardless of whether Lisa feels the same way or not, Mingu truly treasures her. He sees her as someone who just brings him happiness, like her presence fills his cups, emotionally speaking. Being around her light him up, and I think that kind of emotional joy is something he really values. But then we have the Two of Swords following that emotional Ten of Cups, which once again suggests that he knows these feelings might not be fully reciprocated. I also get the sense that he doesn't want to cause her any problems or stir up anything that could be uncomfortable for her. It's also possible that he's still keeping these feelings to himself, holding back and not saying anything. When you look at the Two of Swords, the woman in the car has her eyes covered and arms crossed over her chest, which to me represents someone who isn't ready to express how they feel, or maybe even doesn't want to acknowledge those feelings at all. The last card from Mingu's spread is the Queen of Wands, which also happened to show up in the mutual spread earlier. I mean, I feel like it's pretty obvious at this point that the Queen of Wands is Lisa. And once again, just like in the first spread. It's that same dynamic of the Page of Wands trying to reach the Queen of Wands. Imagine the Page of Wands is Mingyu's journey towards his Queen of Wands. He really feels that happiness on his journey towards Lisa with the Ten of Cups, but then he runs into the Two of Swords, this crossroad. This energy here becomes the barrier that makes it hard for him to actually reach her. So in a way, it feels like his journey towards her just couldn't continue. Sorry if that doesn't make any sense. I was just kind of saying what came to mind based on the imagery here. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at Lisa's car and see how she feels about Mingyu. Well, check what kind of energy she has towards him or toward this connection through this next spread. Alright, so for Lisa, the first card that shows up in her spread toward Mingu is the Five of Pentacles. This card actually feels really familiar. I think it came up in their reading last time too. Now, while the Five of Pentacles can sometimes represent separation or breakups, I don't think that's the case here since they're just friends. Instead, I feel like this card is showing more of their emotional closeness during difficult times, how they will always be there for each other. And because this card is coming from Lisa's side, it makes me think that she knows Mingyu is always quietly there for her, supporting her from behind, just like the man in the car following behind the woman. The next card we have for Lisa is the Knight of Cups. Now, this one is really interesting because most people usually see the Knight of Cups as the classic Prince Charming, you know, the knight on a white horse kind of vibe. But is that really how Lisa feels about Mingyu? Is he truly her Prince Charming? Honestly, I don't think so, but we can interpret the card in another way. The Knight of Cups is often someone who's romantic, thoughtful, creative, and emotionally expressive, someone who appreciates the arts and beauty, which does line up with a celebrity vibe. So maybe from Lisa's point of view, she sees Mingyu as that cool, emotionally warm celebrity friend, someone she respects or enjoys being around, maybe because they share a similar creative world. I mean, I don't actually know if they have the same interest, but I'm trying to describe that kind of princey artistic friend energy, you know. Oh, and then we see the tower again. I don't know if anything happened, anything changed, or if something was acknowledged, or if something just became clear between them. But like I say from the beginning, this tower energy feels really bold, but the outcome of this tower energy to me probably just means that there's no possibility or anything more from Lisa's side. It's like this card is making it very clear that whatever feelings Mingu may have had, Lisa has drawn the line firmly. So yeah, I say this is that same friend zone energy, but this time it feels way more intense, almost like it's been made very obvious or final. The next card we have for Lisa is the Four of Swords. This card usually shows someone lying down, almost like they're resting or recovering. It's a card about taking a step back, recharging, or even mentally detaching from something. So, in the context of her feelings towards Mingu, I feel like this shows that Lisa's energy is pulled inward. She is not actively thinking about or engaging in anything when it comes to this connection. If anything, she might be trying to keep peace in her mind or just not overthink it, especially following the tower, which I'm still not sure what exactly happened between them to get two towers in this whole reading, but perhaps she's retreating from any emotional noise. The last card in Lisa's spread is the Knight of Wands. And something I find really interesting about this whole reading is that in every single spread, we kept pulling two court cards. It's almost like we're following the journey of these court cards through the reading. In this last spread alone, we had the Knight of Cups, and now we end with the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands represents someone who's fast moving, passionate, and enthusiastic. Sometimes even someone you might feel a physical attraction towards. But he's not necessarily someone you see yourself being with seriously. And when I look at this from an imagery point of view, it kind of feels like a story. Like maybe for Lisa, Mingu started off as the Knight of Cups, that romantic, emotionally expressive presence. But then something shifted, maybe that big tower moment. And after some emotional detachment with the Four of Swords, he's now showing up more like the Knight of Wands. So I think this really just confirms that from Lisa's side, she sees him as an attractive friend, someone she's fond of and maybe even drawn to in a way, but not someone she's emotionally pursuing or thinking about romantically. I honestly think the cards today were so wild, and I'm not even sure if I might have overinterpreted some things or maybe misunderstood the energy a little. But as always, please remember this is a tarot reading for celebrities, and we don't personally know them, so these readings are meant to be for entertainment purposes only. I'm not claiming to be 100% accurate, so please take everything with a grain of salt and just enjoy the experience for what it is. And of course, a huge thank you to the purchaser for her generosity in making this reading happen for everyone. Please don't forget to send her your thanks in the comments. And that's the end of today's reading. Thank you so much for listening. If you're interested in a reading from me, check the description box for my contact info. I'll also be reading through the comments to see what you all might want for next week's reading. I haven't decided yet, so let me know who or what you like to see next. Thanks again, and have a great day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you next time.